Welcome everyone to Creepin' It Real, where we watch a scary movie so you don't have to. And you know what? You really don't have to because you might not want to. I am Alex, and I am joined by Lou.
Hey.
And Michelle.
Hello.
And this week we watched Spiral from 2021, the latest installment of the Saw franchise, although it doesn't say Saw, but it stars Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. And it's directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who has directed some previous installments of Saw, as well as a steaming turd of a movie called The Death of, what is it, guys?
Death of
Me.
Which will be the death of you if you watch it.
Yes.
So if you want to watch our spoiler review, Creepin' It Real, Death of Me on this channel.
You can check it out. That's definitely one of those movies where we watch where you don't want to. So, yeah, it was filmed in Toronto. If you were to watch it, you would recognize quite a few locations, specifically the subway stations. And yes, let us get to it. This will be spoilery. We will spoil the crap out of it, and that starts right now. I'm about to give an overview of the film. So the movie starts out in a, I guess, a carnival festival happening in the city. A detective called Boz. He's chasing down a pickpocket thief, and he chases him down into the sewers, but it's not sewers, it's an open grate into the subway system. And while in the sewers, he is confronted from behind by Pig Mask Dude in a hood, Jigsaw, as we previously saw him in the old movies. He chloroformed him. Yeah, Boss passes out. By the way, chloroform doesn't work that way in real life. I found out recently. Not because I tried. Let me. I didn't try it.
I googled that too recently. I literally googled that recently as well. Because I'm like, I don't think that's a thing, and it's not.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's basically you're suffocating the dude, and it's like, well, then why use chloroform? Anyway, yeah. So Boz. He is the first entry into the Jigsaw puzzle, try to escape death trap. Boz's tongue is suspended in the air, just sticking in this vice as he stands in this rickety stepladder. On top of a set of train tracks, a train is coming. He's got a few minutes to get out of it. All he has to do is step off the ladder, rip out his tongue, and he'll be free to go. What does he do? He waits for the last possible second to rip out his tongue. So he does rip out his tongue, but he also splats, gets killed by a subway train, and all that's left hanging is his tongue, and it was disgusting. And I'm like, oh, damn you, Michelle, for picking this movie. But I appreciate it because I haven't seen a movie like this in a while, and it took me back to some of the nastier films that I've seen. Next scene, we see the protagonist of the movie, Zeke Banks. He is working undercover. This is Chris Rock, and it's surprising to see him in a role like this. And he is undercover working in narcotics right now. And things go sideways. Cops enter the fray. He goes back to the station. He was not supposed to be undercover doing this, but he had to be, because he is kind of the black sheep of the police department, because he's a rat, he's a snitch. Basically, he outed a former crooked cop, so almost nobody in the station likes him, and I suppose he's confrontational about it. The police captain, Captain Angie Garza, she partners him up with the rook of the department, William Shank, a bright-eyed young lad who says that Zeke's father, who was previous police captain, played by Samuel L. Jackson, William says that Zeke's father, Marcus, inspired him to become a police officer. Now, Zeke gets a little gift to his desk. Yes, it's a USB. It plays a clip. No. First they go. Sorry, I'm mixing things up. they go to the subway track where a supposed hobo was killed. And when they investigate, they find out it's like, no, he's got a fitness tracker, et cetera, et cetera. This is not a homeless person. But they do find out that it was a detective, Zeke's former partner, Boz, who apparently lied on the stand quite a few times, which is why this killer did the whole tongue vice thing, because all these death traps are symbolic of something or other, right?
As they should be.
As they should be, right? They typically are. So, right. So Zeke is upset that his former partner was killed, and that takes us to the little gift, the USB that Jigsaw sends to Zeke to his office. He plays the video, and it's a symbol to a location where he goes and he finds the tongue, and this tongue belongs to Zeke. No, sorry, the tongue belongs to Boz. Sorry, just these short names, it just bugged me so much. Boz, Zeke, Fitch. Anyways, the tongue. But all right. I'm trying to remember what happens next, because I know the fingers trap is next, and that is Detective Fitch, a crooked cop who, when Zeke was chasing down a bad guy, he called for backup, and Fitch just ignored the call despite Zeke being in mortal danger. And the Jigsaw killer catches Fitch because he went to look for the decoy, the pickpocket from the beginning of the movie, and he finds him. He finds him dead though, and Fitch finds himself in a trap in which his fingers are basically in these vice grips, and he's got these two metal bars in his mouth, and he can escape by just biting down on the clamp, and it'll just rip his fingers right off, all his little nasty fingers. And if it doesn't do it, what was coming towards him? Sorry, he's gonna get
electrocuted. The water is filling up in the little basin he's in, and there's a copper wire. So once the water hits the height, he gets electrocuted.
There you go. So as always in these Jigsaw killings, he waits for the last possible second to rip out his fingers, and he still gets electrocuted. And there's no other way up, but he dies, and that's the second gruesome death of the movie. Let's talk about perhaps Zeke's relationship with his father, Marcus. They're at odds with each other because Zeke is the straight arrow in the department, and he catches a lot of flack from his fellow officers. While at the same time, Zeke's being really negative to William for being married, saying that being a cop will destroy your marriage. But hey, keep being positive. And where are we next? What's the next major thing? Sorry, Michelle. I'm looking at you.
Oh God, I'm like
no.
Well, okay. The thing that I think is worth noting is the original crooked cop, Bose, whatever. Or the original cop that Zeke turns in, he turns him in for shooting an unarmed witness, and we see that quite quickly. We see that, yeah. And Peter, it's worth noting that that was the act that Zeke reported, was the shooting of an unarmed witness, and then all the other people are kind of also crooked in different ways. Does that?
Yeah. So that officer was former officer was Peter Dunleavy. He shot a witness in his home because the witness said he would take the stand. So this crooked cop shot him so that he would not take the stand and possibly incriminate another police officer. So right away, Peter is seen as as one of the suspects, and Zeke goes to talk to him, and Peter's actually one of the heads of these Alcohol Anonymous meetings. He helps talk to people about that, but he's still very upset with Zeke God knows why. I guess because he was a snitch. Zeke ratted him out, and that's where it came from. But it doesn't look like Peter had anything to do with any of these murders towards the cops. But the next death that happens is Zeke's partner, William. His skin, a tattoo of his forearm, comes in a box to Zeke's desk, and they go to a location which Zeke has a picture of him and his father right in front of this place, and it's kind of like a wink and a nod from Jigsaw personally to Zeke, like the first time that he actually like sends him something like that personal. And so yes, this rookie cop William died and was skinned, and the skinned body is in this I guess it was a butcher shop, right?
Yeah, so it had been, I think, like a toy shop or something nice.
Like a hobby shop.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. When Zeke and his father had visited there and taken the photo, which had now been turned into a butcher shop, in which we do see the entirely skinned body. Like there is not a single skin left. It's unrecognizable.
It's all the
and
meats.
The piece of the forearm that got sent to Zeke is the only recognizable piece because his partner had a tattoo of the name was Charlie, which was the partner's son's name, or is the partner's son's name, because the son exists and is alive, as far as you know at this point.
And around the same time, the former police chief captain Marcus Banks, Zeke's father, he received a message from Zeke, which led him to a location, but something weird is happening where no one is showing up. And it cuts away. So like he does get attacked. He gets a shot off. Yes, chloroform, the magic chloroform, by this ninja Jigsaw. He's very sneaky, and yeah. So Marcus disappears. Now, right after seeing the body of his partner William, Zeke recalls something that Jigsaw said about how there's a decoy and like to draw him away from the person who he's actually after, which turns out to be Captain Angie Garza. And Jigsaw catches up to her in the police station basement in the vault, and just hooks her up to this, just puts like a blanket or like a towel over her face, and hot wax pours down on her. Presumably there's no way to get out.
She's supposed to sever her spinal cord. So there's actually a blade at the back of her neck. She's lying on a table. And if she smacks her head back, it's going to sever her spinal cord, paralyzing her, not killing her, but she will survive the wax. It's some illusion. It alludes to the idea that she's going to take it sitting down, or some, like, she's not going to stand up for something, something of that nature is the like why behind that specific trap. But she doesn't do it. She gets all waxed up.
Oh God! And I should mention that the fingers ploy in the previous death was like, I guess, the sticky fingers, you know, and yeah, so they're all symbolic of something. And with that disgusting death, Zeke makes it into the vault, sees her dead, and yes, he goes to. Sorry, I must have missed the part where like he decides to confront like the last place. Oh no, he gets caught by Jigsaw. He gets caught by Jigsaw, who takes him to this factory. And this is a throwback to the very first Saw movie, where Zeke is handcuffed to a pipe, and there's a saw right next to him, and he's thinking, he's like, well, I can't saw the cup. I'm supposed to saw my leg, but no, like right next to him, there's a key or like the thing to unlock
bobby
it.
pin.
Exactly, the bobby pin, and he gets out of there, but he sees the next trap of Peter Dunleavy, the police officer that Zeke snitched on, and for killing the witness, and he's suspended in the air by his arms, and there's a cannon. I don't know what kind of factory has this. They're like cannons that shoot out broken glass, but like the beer bottles are fed through this I don't know, grinder, and it just shoots up, you know, just smacking the dude in the back. and Zeke has to find a way to save him. But as always, like he figures out how to save him, but it's too late. Like he finds the key to his locks in a garbage bin, but Peter dies. And Zeke makes it to the next room where, drum roll, you find out who Jigsaw is. And no, it's not his father. It is actually his former partner, William Shank. Dear Lord, who could have seen that coming? So origin time. William Shank is the son of the witness who was shot by Peter Dunleavy. And it just turns out that little William was just in the room, just watching the entire ordeal, just watching the whole thing go down. He witnessed it. He grew up deciding to become Jigsaw, but for crooked police officers. And he did quite an exemplary job of killing crooked cops. But there's one last crooked cop left, and that is Zeke's father, Marcus. Now, the reason why Marcus, quote unquote, inspired William to become a cop is because at the time that Marcus was police chief captain, he rolled back a lot of the red tape and basically gave cops free reign in the city. And we all know cops with free reign, it's no matter what, they'll go crooked. Even with rain, supposed rain, they're crooked, they're terrible. But especially so in this case. And Marcus's trap is he's on these strings. Blood is being drawn out of him, like kind of like the IV drip things. They're just sucking blood out of him into buckets below him, and he's suspended. All Zeke has to do is either he's got an option. He's got a gun with one bullet left. He can either shoot William, aka New Jigsaw, or he can shoot this bullseye that frees his father. So he frees his father. He shoots he shoots a bullseye. He drops down, and William offers Zeke. He's like, "Look, you don't have to do anything. You just point out these crooked cops. I'll do the rest. I'll continue being Jigsaw, but just for crooked cops, this is what you want. But you got to decide." Well, Zeke decides he doesn't want to do that, and at the same time, SWAT team coming in, and they bust into the room that Marcus is in, as William and Zeke are fighting in this elevator just off to the side. And when the cops bust in, it triggers a little marionette thing that Marcus is suspended on. Now the symbolism here is he had
pulling all the strings.
Pulling all the strings, right? So I guess this marionette like pulls out this gun that aims it at the cops, and the cops are threatened, and cops bang 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 for no reason, so they shoot up Marcus, and Marcus dies. Zeke witnesses it, but he runs out of the elevator because he's freaked out about his dad getting shot up, and William leaves with the Saw music, and fade to black. That was the movie. That was Spiral, and yes. So let's talk types of scares. There was a lot of gore, guys. As if you couldn't tell with the overview. Oh my God, the blood and gore. It was like they didn't show like a tongue getting ripped out. Well, I guess they sort of did, but it wasn't just just like a little bit, and then you would see the tongue dangling. So yeah, it was as brutal as you can imagine.
You guys asked for this. You asked for this. You said that last movie that I suggested didn't have enough gore. Here you go. You happy now?
That's true.
You're welcome.
That's true. I definitely
overcorrected.
Did you did. I was not ready for this one, but yeah, this was huge when it came to gore. Well, what other types of horror were in this one?
There was jump scares as well. You get the occasion, like the pig is always a jump scare. Stupid pig mask. Yeah. I hate it. I think it's so dumb. And continuity wise in the story, it doesn't make sense that they'd use a pig mask, because historically the Saw lore is something I know too much about. It's stupid. Amanda Waller, who was one of Jigsaw's surviving victims who then started working for him, she was the one who wore the pig mask primarily. So it's actually not it doesn't actually make sense that he would wear the pig mask if he's trying to be Jigsaw. But also he said he's not trying to be Jigsaw. he's just like inspired by the Saw killings, which is why it's a spiral as his like shape. Because like what goes around comes around, spiral. Hence that. Stupid. But yeah, jump scares with the pig.
Go figure. He's a pig killing pigs. So
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But no one makes that joke. No one says that.
No, I know.
That's a missed opportunity, I think.
Come on.
But yeah, gore, jump scares for sure. I think those are the big two, unless you have a fear of puppets, because there was that little pigly puppet thing that's weird. That's right. So that could be scary to some people as well, because that thing looked disgusting and I hated it.
Well, look, let's get to favorite scares. You guys take the floor.
I'm gonna say, and I've seen every Saw movie so many times at this point, and like after the first one, you don't have the psychological horror anymore. It's just torture porn. It's just gore. Yeah. That's really all it is. And this one did not disappoint for that. I'm gonna say I am very okay with gore, but there was something about the first two deaths in this that just like turned my stomach to a degree that I've not experienced in a while. The tongue and the fingers, it's something about like the little extremities to me that just are, that was so disgusting. Like that was so gross. It really freaked me out. Like especially the finger one, because you could see them slowly pulling away and you saw like the skin stretching and like the little muscly bits. It was really graphic, really graphic. And I mean, I liked that part of it. Like that was actually scary to me. I'm like, that's disgusting. I would absolutely not be able to tear my fingers off to survive. Like, no, thank you. And a lot of the other Saw traps, I'm like, yeah, I could stab my eye. It's fine or whatever. That one, I'm like, no way could I slowly rip my own fingers off, because it was a slow rip too. It wasn't like the tongue where it's like out really quickly. It was a very slow rip. Ew.
Jesus.
Yeah, the tongue definitely was one of them, because it's the anticipation of knowing that you're gonna lose that tongue, even though it was a really quick death, because when the tongue came out, it was like 1 second later he was hit by the train, right?
Yeah. And get the big splat.
Yeah. The other one that was really kind of just messing with my head was the shards of glass from that little from the machine that just kept shooting out the broken glass. It reminded me a little bit of either Saw 1 or 2, like the syringes.
That's 2.
It's 2 when she had to jump in that.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of, and it was like really just kind of painful to even think about.
I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna go with the tongue one. When you're watching these movies and you see these puzzle like these traps, you instinctively think, what would I do in that place? And I think that one's the worst one, where like you just jump off and let the weight of your body just rip out, God knows what's in your mouth. Just the thought of that, just eesh. Yeah. Damn this movie. How about least favorite scares?
Least favorite scare would probably be the wax one, I'd say. That one just felt really weird to me. It wasn't scary because she's just getting cut, like she's not really screaming past a point, so it wasn't quite as graphic as the other ones. And like her actual death wasn't graphic. It wasn't until Zeke enters and then decides it's a good idea to pull the burning wax off her face and take all her skin off. That was disgusting. But like the actual trap, like that death wasn't as gruesome as the other ones to me. So I did not like that one as much. And to me, I'm sorry, you're in the basement of the police precinct. How did you set that up in the basement? What is this wax contraption? Like, I don't get that. Whereas everything else is usually like an abandoned warehouse. You would have like conceivably had time to build this trap and move it there and At what point did that get into the basement? Is that a thing that they have in the basement? It would have been cool to me if either they'd reused another trap that happened to be, because it was the evidence vault. So what if it had been an older trap that was in the evidence locker that they like reused? That would have been so cool to me. And I think just the waxing was stupid.
And they had to enter through almost like a safe. She had to like,
yeah.
And why did he, like, if she was alive, she definitely died when he tried to give CPR, because you know that thing's
Oh
on her
my
neck.
god.
She's like,
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh my god.
He rips her face off and then mushes her into the blade. And if she wasn't dead, he definitely finished the
yeah,
job.
yeah. So that was the same for me. It's the same as Michelle. It's like just the peeling. I'm like, you know, the skin is coming off, but you know what? Let me just keep peeling it. And just like,
I'm gonna have to go with Marcus Banks. His death was probably, or like his scare was probably my least favorite, because like number one, just the surreal feeling of like Samuel L. Jackson being in a jigsaw trap is just, number one, it's hilarious. I can't believe he didn't throw out some MFs out there. Like I'm shocked. Or like there weren't a ton more. But it was just more funny than anything. Plus him getting shot up by, well, I suppose like it's symbolic of like the people he was protecting. He's getting killed by. But even so, it was just it was kind of bland, especially for the climactic death of the movie. Which let's talk about scenes. Our favorite scene. I'm gonna let you guys go first.
I'm struggling. I think, okay, this isn't necessarily an answer to that question. It's just an opinion that I have. I think this movie hurt itself by adding the tagline from the Book of Saw. I think if this movie had just been called Spiral, and then as we're watching the movie, we see the Saw influences and we see it's kind of like extended universe Saw, that would have felt better to me, because it didn't play out like a Saw movie as much, because it focused way too much on the cops. Whereas in the Saw movies, it's more focused on the victims. And as the movies go on, we like see more of the cops, but it's like, this was like Zeke was the main character, and that's not usually the case. Like we usually get a lot more backstory from the victims. So in that regard, if I think of it as not a Saw movie, I actually liked the backstory of Zeke's character, but when I think of it like a Saw movie, I absolutely freaking hate that. So like that's my favorite scene, but also not one of my favorite scenes, depending on how I'm looking at the movie.
favorite scene. Oh God. This is hard. I didn't really have a favorite scene, if that makes sense. To me, although not a great movie, like the death scenes were kind of fun to watch. So like just the death scenes. I believe Alex mentioned earlier, I haven't seen this crazy gore in a while. I haven't seen like a Saw movie or this type of just mutilation type thing in a while. So that all the scenes were kind of enjoyable in that sense.
Right on. I mean, I feel the same way as Lou. There we're like, man, that tongue thing. I was just like, you should have seen my face. Like my mouth was just hanging up. Like I wasn't expecting it, because like I haven't seen a Saw movie in so long, and I haven't seen gore of this nature like in such a long time. So that would probably be it. It was like a nice refresher on what to expect. Like, okay, all right, here we are. And now least favorite scenes. I'll start it off because it kind of ruined the movie for me. When Zeke's partner William asks to use his phone, that was like, oh, so you're the Saw killer. Okay, yeah, you go ahead, be alone with this phone for a while, and implant evidence or do whatever you have to do, and then come back and we're gonna pretend you're not the Saw killer. Like nice try with the tattoo, but like that's not your body. You're not dead, because you know it's not your body, even the skin body. Like I don't know who that is, but yeah, it's not William. So that really, it was really obvious. It was an obvious killer, and yeah, that's what I feel. How about you guys? Least favorite?
Ooh, okay, I have two least favorites, and they all revolve around that same character, William. Like he's the worst part of the movie by far, unfortunately. It's hard to go from Jigsaw, like the actual Jigsaw of like this really like, I mean, I'm not saying the Saw movies are good by any means. They're not like cinematic masterpieces, but he's like a more sympathetic, a well-rounded villain. Like you understand his motivations. You can kind of get behind them after a certain point, and it's like interesting to see what he's gonna do next, right? This dude, no, get out of here. I don't care. You're stupid. I hate you. And yeah, so that boils down to two scenes for me. As a viewer, it was very stupid to watch, like, oh, we found his body. He was in a trap with no explanation of what the hell the trap was. So if at that point you didn't already suspect him, you're gonna suspect him because why didn't we as a viewer get to see him die? Give me that satisfaction. I honestly would have liked them to actually put in a fake trap for that, and like a fake us out more if they'd really gone hard on that, like showing us why he's getting skinned, like, you know, whatever that is, like the remnants of the trap. He's just hanging there. Like the Jigsaw killer is not going to put everyone else in these really elaborate traps and then just show up and just like slice your skin off with a knife. That's like what? That doesn't make sense. Even as a police officer, I feel like you should have been like, they should have been like, why did they literally change like the way they do things? That's not normal. I don't know. I don't know if that's normal. Then the end where he's like, Zeke, be my buddy. Let's do this together. Zeke has a problem with crooked cops. You're a literal cop killer, serial killer, and you think he's going to team up with you. Like, where's that logic? I honestly think he would have been a better character. Number one, if we honestly just never had that final, like, conversation where it's just implied it's the partner. Like, maybe we see him walking away, we see his tattoo, where, like one of those kind of secret endings where, like, we're in on the joke, we know who it is. Or if you're going to have that confrontation, don't ask him to be a partner and be like, here's your choice. You shoot me, you shoot him, and just dip. Like, that's it. That should have been it. Because it felt like they're trying to set up for a sequel, but I don't care. I don't care to see this guy do more. We already know his motivation. He's already super one-dimensional. How many crooked cops are there? I don't know. Maybe it's all of them, but like at a point, I'm not going to care about that anymore. So him is my least favorite.
Again with William Schenk. Basically, the first time we hear the voice, or I think it was on the first the USB, where we get to hear him talk for the first time. The moment that voice came up, I was already kind of looking around the room and kind of, I think this is William Schenk right now. So the whole movie, and then basically when he grabbed the phone, even when he mentioned that his father was the inspiration for him doing that, and I'm like, I don't know how he's gonna be the killer, but he's the killer. So that was like pretty easy to guess early on. And also kind of, I couldn't get past Chris Rock being serious.
He did some crazy facial expressions in one scene where he's when Angie's trying to take him off the case and he's trying to convince her to be on the case. I don't know if this, like, he was like doing doing like really big crazy eyes at her. And like, what do you do? Like, she's your boss, you're trying to show her you're serious, and you're like doing like please, if you can find the clip, anyone watch the clip, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because he just looked like he was not okay in that moment. And it was bad.
Yeah, I just didn't kind of believe him being serious at all, which is weird because sometimes the comedians, when they do serious stuff in acting roles, they're usually really good. Like Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, when they turn on like a serious role, they're really good at it. But Chris Rock, it was like I just didn't believe him as a serious actor.
I think what you need is a good script, and he did not have that with this movie.
Yeah.
So that could be what it was. Like, you know what I mean? Like Robin Williams had Dead Poet Society, Jim Carrey had Truman Show. Chris Rock has Saw Part 8 or something. What part?
9. I think it's 9. Is it 9? 8, 9? Because Jigsaw's number. I don't know. I've lost count.
So, I mean that's just part of like how surreal this movie feels. Like Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson, right? Like it piqued my interest, like when I first heard of this movie. But now we come to the end with the final score. Out of 5, what would you give the movie and why?
I will go first because I want us to answer this a little differently this time. I would like us to say how we generally score the Saw movies and then this movie, because I think that will affect the scores. And the reason I say that is Saws aren't good but I like them. I typically would score most Saw movies, besides maybe Jigsaw, like a 3.5 out of 5 for like pure gore and entertainment value, because I think entertainment, they're so good. The first Saw movie, League of Its Own, I think it's like a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a spectacular, well done movie. Everything else is really good gore, really good gore. This movie is like, if it's a Saw movie, like a 2, maybe like a 1.5, because they did some gore, but they also tried to put too much story in it. And I don't watch Saw movies for any type of story, truthfully. I just give me more gore, more blood, more traps, more creativity, bigger, better every single time. They didn't deliver on that. And then, unlike the first Saw, where you do get good characters, you do get a good story, this did not deliver on the story either. So it didn't do any of the things well. And I think if they tried to make a movie that's not from the book of Saw, just spiral, in like, you know, characters inspired by Jigsaw, I could have been a little bit more on board for it. Maybe I would have scored it a little higher. But if you're going to call yourself a Saw movie, you need to do more. You need to try harder. So, and as far as who should watch this movie, if you like the Saw movies, there's traps in this movie. Like, you'll at least probably enjoy some of those. If you, again, hadn't seen a good gory movie in a while, this will like reinvigorate that. Because I think the thing it does well is it's one of the goriest movies I've seen recently, like of a 2020 to 2021 movie. And like the special effects in the gore looks like it looks exactly what I would think it would look like in real life. Whereas some of the previous Saw movies, they don't hold up in terms of gore. They don't look quite so realistic anymore. This looks hyper realistic. So if that's what you're into, like, this movie does try really hard for some of the traps for that. So yeah, like that, yeah, that's where I'm at.
As for the other Saw movies, I actually do, they're not the best movies, but I am generally intrigued by them, especially like the first couple. Like, I actually really like them, so I would have given like a 3 and a 4. This one, as a copycat, kinda was, the gore was there. It was, I guess, enjoyable to see gore again. We were mentioning how we haven't really seen gore in a while, so just for that, a 2. Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen a Saw movie in such a long time, and like, that's not a franchise that I particularly would revisit at all. Like if anything, I would go on YouTube just to check out some of the deaths. But yeah, no, nothing else. So like my score for like the old movies, I don't even know what I'd give it, because it's not in my wheelhouse. They after a while, they just felt just very repetitive, and like it added nothing new except for gore porn. So I stopped with it. I never bothered. It's kind of like Mortal Kombat with the fatalities. Like you just check out the video full of the fatalities, everyone's fatalities, and that's it. You're set.
Just the greatest
You're
hits.
Done. Yeah, that's it. And I was excited to watch Spiral because I thought it was going to be like a reboot. You know, something new. You know, a new spin on this old franchise, which, you know, it captivated me. Like I love the concept of it. It just got old, and it needs like a shot in the arm. But it did not do that. It was just same old shit, brand new characters, big name actors, a couple of big name actors, and that's it. And that's not working for me. So I've got no reason to watch another Spiral movie, except if Michelle tells me to, and then I will. Then I'll enjoy it.
Because he's not dead. That means there's gonna be a sequel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the gore is cool. I'll say that. But it's just gore alone, so I'd give it like a 1.5. And with that, we are done. Thank you for joining us. If you have any thoughts on the movie Spiral, let us know which is your favorite Saw movie and what did you think of this one. Like and subscribe. Follow us on our social medias. I'm Alex. I've been joined by Lou and Michelle. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.